ring is a crucible, where men seek to right the wrongs, yet his canvas is stained by memories that refuse to fade. Some wounds never fully heal, but as fists fly and old patterns emerge, we're reminded that history often circles back, unchanged, unapologetic, echoing the lessons we failed to learn. While redemption is never guaranteed, the belt may signal a new round, but it cannot erase the ghost that still lingers in the shadows. Brandon Adams and Serhii Bohachuk's rematch was fueled by the dramatic ending of the first fight in 2021, where Adams, trailing badly on the scorecards, knocked out the then undefeated executioner of the division, Bohachuk, in the 8th round to score a major upset. After that loss, Bohachuk rebuilt his reputation, going 8-1 and even fighting tooth and nail against Vergil Ortiz, a fight in which many felt he deserved the win. Also, while Adams stayed mostly inactive and slipped from the spotlight. Years later, with Bohachuk unable to secure bigger fights, his team arranged a rematch on a massive Alvarez versus Crawford undercard, giving both men a shot at redemption and validation. Brandon the Cannon Adams is a compact, explosive counterpuncher who relies on timing and precision rather than sheer volume. He fights best in bursts, using quick reflexes and sharp hooks to punish mistakes, particularly when opponents overcommit. Adams is not a high-output boxer, but instead makes his punches count, carrying fight-changing power and short, sudden shots. His style is opportunistic. He waits for openings, then capitalizes with decisive strikes. While he could be outworked by busier fighters, his danger lies in his ability to turn a single mistake into a fight-changing moment, making him a constant threat even when behind on the scorecards. Serhii Bohachuk is a brutal pressure fighter known for his high-volume offense and sledgehammer fists. He thrives on breaking opponents with constant forward aggression, limiting space and throwing combinations that sap both body and confidence. His style is built on aggression and attrition. He overwhelms rather than outsmarts, using his physicality and stamina to wear down opponents until they can no longer withstand the pace. While his volume and punches are dangerous, his eagerness to trade and his defensive lapse have left him vulnerable to counters. Still, Bohachuk's style is that of a marauder, unyielding, punishing, and designed to impose his will from the opening bell. A rematch is defined by adjustments. The edge belongs to the boxer who can face the past, learn from it, and turn mistakes into weapons. For years have passed since the last fight, time enough for everything to change. But has it? As expected, Bohachuk opened with forward aggression, wasting no time closing in. He let his power flow freely, making his presence felt early as he sought to impose his will. His strategy was clear: wear Adams down, drag him into exchanges, and disrupt his rhythm with sheer volume and intensity. Yet in a surprising approach, instead of circling and boxing off the back foot like the first belt, Adams chose to hold his ground in the pocket, choosing not to meet power with caution, but instead with defiance. It was more than a tactical shift. It was a statement, a declaration that the first fight was no fluke, and that the so-called boogeyman was not what many believed him to be. That single choice set the tone for everything that followed. It was no surprise that Bohachuk's greatest weapon also carried his greatest flaw. His offense, unyielding as it was, often left him squared up and exposed. That is the paradox of punchers. Every swing is for the fences. Against a stationary target, that approach can devour defenses. But against a crafty boxer, one patient enough to lure a puncher into overcommitting, it becomes a liability waiting to be exploited.
Adams is catching him on his elbow.
That's what we're going to see in our main event.
Oh, good left hand connection.
Effective movement does not demand constant retreat. Sometimes it's as subtle as a step back or a pivot around to the side, just enough to deny the puncher the chance of setting the feet. Each reset creates space, and within that space lies opportunity. But space alone is not enough. It must also be filled, littered with obstacles, preventing the puncher from marching in unopposed. That is where the battle of jabs takes center stage. Bohachuk firing his jabs as a weapon to force entry.
From Bohachuk.
Meaning you may lose the fight, but it's never a bad idea to come up on round 3.
We'll still remember Hagler and Hearn.
Adams shoots his own to hold the line and claim territory.
Bohachuk has done with the uppers and the roundhouse.
While the two exchanged fire at arm's reach, the contrast between the range and the technique was clear. Bohachuk fiercely pressed, seeking to bat up Adams, but in doing so, he often sacrificed balance for aggression. Adams consistently filled the gaps between Bohachuk's punches, making it difficult to maintain position. While Bohachuk did manage to punch his way into range, his head position became predictable due to the static guard.
From Adams.
Beyond returning his hands to defend after throwing, his head and hip movement were virtually non-existent. Without the incorporation of head movement, level changes, or varied angles, already being an easy target to find, Bohachuk became a stationary target as well, relying solely on a tight high guard. This gave Adams consistent openings to exploit, allowing his punches to pierce through the defensive gaps. With Bohachuk's guard fixed and predictable, Adams was free to shift his focus toward defense and punch timing, further capitalizing on Bohachuk's lack of defensive variety.
Left hook, upstairs with the left jab.
Trying to steal the round. With the jab, you wouldn't expect to see jabs in close quarters like that, but he finished with two big body shots.
Minus the constant pressure, Bohachuk's offense proved too limited against a boxer of Adams' caliber. Though Bohachuk carried genuine power in both hands, Adams was too slick in the pocket and on the inside. By holding his ground, Adams was able to plant his feet, stabilize his balance. That foundation not only reinforced the tight guard, but also positioned him to roll effectively with Bohachuk's punches, diffusing the impact. Each roll allowed Adams to coil his shoulders and return fire with sharper rotation, amplifying his own power and exchanges.
Max Holloway is loving this fight right now.
Bohachuk was repeatedly caught off guard. His rhythm often fell into a predictable pattern of either punching or blocking, leaving clear windows for Adams to strike. Adams capitalized on these openings with precision. His mastery of space was evident.
Castillo is going to win by knockout. Corrales did. And this elbows are now compared to the first round. He does not want those body shots.
While Bohachuk's punches were frequently smothered, Adams used subtle shifts in movement to carve out just enough room to pierce through, bending defense seamlessly into offense. Adams punctuated his work with impeccable timing and positioning, showcasing the depth of his craft.
Pretty consequential shots being landed here late in the round by Bohachuk, and Adams immediately.
While Bohachuk controlled moments of the fight with pressure and volume, Adams fought with greater composure, showcasing patience, precision, and punishing counters. Refusing to be overwhelmed or allow Bohachuk to dictate pace, Adams instead capitalized on the aggressor's defensive vulnerabilities. The result was a wide, unanimous decision, another defining victory in Adams' career, and undeniable proof that the first fight was no fluke. In an already stacked division, this win now positions Adams for more key opportunities against the names hovering in the contender rankings. For Bohachuk, however, this marks yet another setback. After his first loss to Adams in 2021, he clawed his way back into the rankings, only to drop a controversial fight to Vergil Ortiz. He then secured a matchup with Madrimov, but the former world champion withdrew, leaving Bohachuk stranded without momentum. Determined to right his wrongs, he sought redemption in his rematch, only to fall short once again. Unfortunately, in the sport of boxing, some victories are accidents of timing. Others are just shadows of fate. Twice struck by the same Canaan, Bohachuk learned that fate does not repeat itself by chance. It repeats itself by truth.